In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as the sacred and deeply revered month of Muharram moves swiftly before our eyes, many of us continue with life as usual, unaware of the immense spiritual opportunities quietly passing us by. But today I invite you to pause, reflect, and listen carefully. Because what I am about to share with you is not just a message. It is a lifeline, a spiritual reality, and perhaps a divine reminder sent to awaken your heart before it's too late. This message holds a power that has been whispered through the centuries by the pious, practiced by the righteous, and forgotten by many in our modern world. It is a call to action, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Because if you delay, you may one day look back with tears in your eyes and regret filling your heart, asking yourself the question no soul wants to ask. Why didn't I take that step when I had the chance? Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I act while I still had time? You see, this video is more than a reminder. It is a mirror, a wake-up call, a spiritual stirring that may just redirect your path. It is not based on fantasy or superstition, but on generations of lived experience, sacred knowledge, and divine blessings tied to acts that may seem small on the surface, but carry the weight of mountains in the unseen realm. My dear listener, these 5 things I'm about to mention, they are not luxuries. They are not trends. They are keys. Keys that can unlock the doors of sustenance, healing, protection, peace, and prosperity in your life. If your heart has been feeling empty, if your home has been drowning in stress, if your wealth seems to vanish faster than it arrives, then this video was meant for you, because Allah does not guide someone to a reminder unless He intends to bless them through it. This month of Muharram is a month of mourning, reflection, and unmatched mercy. Even the smallest good deed in this sacred time can bring about oceans of Barakah. But let me warn you, the consequences of ignorance and heedlessness can echo for years, if not lifetimes. This is not fear-mongering, this is truth. And truth, when ignored, becomes the heaviest regret of all. So stay with me till the very end. Turn off all distractions. Let your heart truly listen. Because the 5 things we're about to discuss may look ordinary to the eye, but to the believer who sees with insight, they are divine tools, sacred provisions, and perhaps your door to a future filled with light, ease, and divine favor. Let us begin. The month of Muharram is no ordinary passage of time. It is sacred, it is weighty, and it is filled with divine secrets. It is not just the first month of the Islamic calendar. It is the opening chapter of your spiritual year, a chance for rebirth, a season of remembrance, repentance, and renewal. The actions you take during these blessed days, whether in heedlessness or devotion, leave ripples that echo through your entire year, sometimes even your entire life. This is a time when spiritual doors are flung wide open or quietly sealed shut, based entirely on the intentions of your heart and the sincerity of your efforts. Our elders, the wise souls who lived before us, used to say something strange yet profound. Buy these 5 things during Muharram or you will remain poor. At first glance, you may dismiss this as just folklore or a cultural saying, but make no mistake, this is not superstition. This is lived wisdom, tested and proven by generations of believers. It is a tradition not born from myth, but from spiritual experience and divine mercy. Time and again, people have practiced it, and they have witnessed unimaginable barakah flow into their lives like a flood of light. So many of us have let Muharram come and go like any other month. We've used it to decorate our homes, to buy clothes, to socialize, or to simply let the days pass in routine. But perhaps in doing so, we've overlooked something crucial. Maybe we've ignored these 5 things, these seemingly small items, these silent vessels of rizq, protection and tranquility. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you felt stuck. That's why your hard work hasn't brought the success it should. That's why money comes into your hands and then disappears just as quickly. That's why illness lingers in your home, draining your energy and your savings. That's why your house, once a place of peace, now echoes with arguments, tension, and unease. But my dear brothers and sisters, not anymore. Today we reclaim what was lost. We revive the forgotten sunnah of wise believers. We walk in the footsteps of those who knew the secrets of divine provision. We stop chasing blessings and start attracting them. These 5 things may seem ordinary, even trivial, but they are not. They are keys, anchors, gateways to a life filled with sustenance, healing, stability, and light. So listen closely, because what comes next may just be the turning point you've been praying for. The first item you must bring into your home before the blessed month of Muharram ends is jaggery. Yes, you heard that right, jaggery. Not gold, not silver, not something rare or expensive. Just simple, unrefined, earthy sweetness. But don't be fooled by its humble appearance. Because in the eyes of the pious, jaggery is more than just food. It's a silent sunnah of gratitude, a symbol of Barakah and a carrier of deep spiritual secrets. The righteous elders, whose lives were rooted in divine wisdom, used to say, "The house where jaggery enters in the month of Muharram, the bitterness of the heart melts and sustenance becomes sweet." What a beautiful metaphor. It reminds us that sometimes the solution to our greatest problems lies in the smallest of acts. When they're done with intention, humility and trust in Allah, jaggery doesn't just sweeten the body, it sweetens the soul. It carries warmth. It represents comfort. It fosters a sense of unity when shared. And in this sacred month, bringing jaggery into your home is like making a silent dua. Oh Allah, remove every bitterness, dissolve every hardship, and fill our lives with the sweetness of your mercy. Let me tell you a story. There was once a village, dry, cracked by drought, scorched by the sun. The crops had died, the wells had dried up, and hunger began creeping into every home. The villagers, tired and anxious, gathered to ask their elder for a solution. And what did he say? Not to bring water or money or grain. He simply said, "Buy jaggery, share it. Feed it to your children with love. Distribute it with a heart full of dua." They were confused, but they obeyed. In every household, jaggery was divided with prayer. Children laughed again. The air of gloom began to lift. And within days, clouds gathered. Rain poured. The earth drank. The fields came back to life. Was it the jaggery itself that changed their fate? No, it was what it represented, their unity, their obedience, their trust in the unseen, and their belief in Allah's mercy. So today I ask you, bring jaggery into your home. Place it with love. Share it with your family. Give it to a neighbor. Feed it to the poor. And as you do, whisper this heartfelt dua.
Ya Allah,
sweeten my destiny like this jaggery. Let rizq flow, let peace reign, and let every bitterness melt away under the light of your mercy. Because in the end, it's not about the item, it's about the faith behind the act. The second item that you must bring into your life, before the sacred days of Muharram come to an end, is black cloth. At first glance, it may seem like a simple fabric. Just a color, just a cloth. But in the realm of the spiritual, it holds layers of meaning far deeper than the eye can see. To some, black cloth is merely a symbol of mourning, a garment worn during funerals, a shade associated with sadness. But to the pious, the spiritually awakened, and those whose hearts beat with love for the Prophet, peace be upon him and his family, black cloth is much more than that. It is a sign of humility, a symbol of reflection, a silent protest against oppression, and most of all, it is a badge of remembrance for a tragedy that changed the course of history forever. In this month of Muharram, black cloth becomes a sacred mantle. It represents sorrow not for worldly loss, but for the suffering of the beloved grandson of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Imam Hussein, as the Prince of Paradise, the embodiment of courage, justice, and truth. When you wear black during Muharram, you're not just mourning the past. You are aligning your soul with the timeless values Hussein A.S. stood for: resistance against tyranny, loyalty to faith, and unwavering trust in Allah even in the face of death. There is a powerful story passed down in tradition, one that speaks of a drought-stricken village, its lands cracked and its skies silent. The people were desperate. No matter how much they prayed, no matter how many sacrifices they made, the heavens would not respond. Their crops had withered, their livestock had perished, and the cries of thirsty children echoed in every home. In their hopelessness, they turned to a respected scholar, asking, "What can we do now?" The scholar, after reflection, gave a strange instruction. He said, "Wear black cloth. Dress yourselves in grief, not as a show, but as a symbol of your humility before your Creator. Mourn not just your suffering, but the suffering of the righteous. Stand before your Lord with tearful hearts, like the companions of Karbala did in utter submission." Some mocked him. "How can black cloth bring rain?" they said. But the faithful obeyed. They clothed themselves in black, gathered as one, and stood in prayer, not loud, not demanding, but broken-hearted. They wept for their own sins, and they wept in remembrance of Hussein A.S., And then, the sky, which had been dry for months, turned dark. Clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, and soon rain poured down in torrents. The fields drank, the trees swayed. Life returned, not because of the fabric, but because of what it represented: humility, unity, and heartfelt remembrance. You see, black cloth is not fashion. It's not a trend. It is a flag, a silent banner raised by the soul, announcing to the heavens, I remember, I mourn, I submit. And wherever sincere grief for Hussein S. resides, wherever hearts break in remembrance of his sacrifice, Allah's mercy descends like rain on a barren land. So buy black cloth this Muharram. Wear it not for people but for your soul. Hang it in your home not for decoration, but as a reminder that the legacy of Karbala lives on, not through blood and battle alone, but through humility, remembrance, and submission to Allah. And when you wear it, whisper a prayer from the depths of your heart. Ya Allah, clothe my soul in sincerity. Let me live and die with the values of Hussein is. Wrap me in your mercy, just as I wrap myself in this cloth of mourning. Because sometimes, the simplest of acts, when done with sincerity, can open the gates of heaven. Third, mustard oil. Yes, mustard oil, something so simple, so old-fashioned, so easily overlooked in today's modern world. But in the wisdom of our elders and the Barakah-filled traditions of our ancestors, mustard oil was never just oil. It was a sacred tool, a spiritual remedy, a silent healer of homes and hearts, especially during the blessed days of Muharram. In generations past, it was common to see mothers gently massaging mustard oil into their children's hair under the early morning sun. Fathers would light small clay lamps with mustard oil at dusk, letting the soft golden glow fill the home with tranquility. Food cooked with it felt different, not just nourishing, but calming. And in every act there was intention, there was dua, there was remembrance. So why did they insist on using mustard oil in Muharram? What was so special about it? Because our elders believed and witnessed that mustard oil carries barakah. It brings warmth into homes that have gone cold with resentment. It soothes bodies, but also softens souls. It doesn't just nourish, it heals. It invites rizq, mends broken relationships, strengthens bonds, and revives the forgotten sweetness of family life. Its scent carries memories. Its glow chases away darkness, both physical and emotional. Let me tell you a true story that was passed down from a wise teacher. There was a woman, wealthy, comfortable, surrounded by material luxury. But her home was in ruins. Her children had become disobedient. Her husband, once loving and attentive, had grown distant and cold. Her house was silent, not with peace, but with tension. Laughter had faded, and no matter what she tried, therapy, shopping, vacations, nothing worked. One day, in desperation, she visited a wise elder known for his spiritual insight. She poured out her heart and expected a complicated solution. But the elder smiled gently and said something she couldn't understand at first. Buy mustard oil. Use it with intention. Light your home with it. Massage your children with it. Rub it on your hands and make dua. Let it bless your home and then you will see. She was puzzled, but desperate enough to try. That very day, she brought mustard oil home. She lit lamps with it, not just to illuminate the room, but as a prayer. Ya Allah, light up the darkness in my home. She massaged her children's hair while reciting blessings. She anointed her hands and rubbed them on the walls of her home, saying, let peace return, let love flow again. And slowly, subtly, her home began to change. Her husband started talking to her again, gently, kindly. Her children smiled more, argued less. Meals felt warmer. Arguments turned to laughter. The home, once tense and heavy, became a sanctuary of peace. Rizq began flowing in unexpected ways. Not because of the oil alone, but because of her sincerity, her surrender, and her silent trust in the barakah that Allah places in even the smallest things. My dear brothers and sisters, do not underestimate the power of mustard oil in this sacred month. Buy it not as a routine purchase, but as a tool of spiritual healing. Use it not just physically, but spiritually and with dua, with remembrance, with love. Light a lamp and let its glow be your silent prayer. Rub it into your children's hair and imagine it as a shield of mercy. Cook with it and whisper, Ya Allah, fill this meal with your blessings. Because when used with sincerity, even a drop of mustard oil can soften what the world could not. It can heal what was once broken. It can open doors of mercy you didn't even know existed. So bring it into your home before Muharram ends. Use it, honor it, and say with your heart,
Ya Allah.
warm my home with love, soften my family with mercy, and anoint my life with Barakah, just as I anoint with this oil. The fourth item is something you likely touch every day. You eat it, cook with it, pass it across the dinner table. Yet, you may have never looked at it with the eyes of the heart. That item is salt. Yes, salt. Simple, white, granular. It sits quietly in our kitchens, adding flavor to our food, preserving what would otherwise rot, and blending invisibly into every dish. But in the traditions of the pious, salt is not just a seasoning, it is a shield, a silent guardian of sustenance, a spiritual substance often forgotten, yet immensely powerful in the unseen world. Our elders, those whose lives were drenched in sincerity and divine wisdom, used to say something many today ignore. Buying salt during the sacred month of Muharram protects your Rizq for the entire year. Not because it holds magic, but because it holds meaning. You see, salt teaches us balance. It reminds us that even the smallest things, when valued, respected, and used with gratitude, can carry immense blessing. It doesn't overpower the meal. It doesn't seek attention. It humbly does its job, bringing harmony to ingredients, unity to flavors, and warmth to the family table. But its power extends beyond taste. Salt, when used with spiritual awareness, can soften hearts, ease tensions, and protect your home from unseen harms. There's a story told of a village torn apart not by war but by bitterness. Families couldn't sit together without arguing. Children disobeyed. Parents shouted. Neighbors turned cold. And over time, the village, though alive, felt spiritually dead. One day, a respected scholar visited. He observed their behavior and asked a strange question. Have you forgotten the salt? The people were confused. Salt? What could salt possibly have to do with their misery? The scholar replied, You've disrespected what Allah made blessed. You take it for granted, waste it, forget to say Bismillah, and chase exotic flavors instead. Go back to simplicity. Buy plain salt this Muharram. Use it with intention. Say Bismillah, thank Allah for it. And watch what happens. Those who listened obeyed. They bought plain salt, not pink, not Himalayan, not flavored, just the simplest kind. Before each meal, they said Bismillah. They placed the salt with respect. They added it with love, and slowly, change began. Arguments at the table turned to calm conversations. Disobedient children became gentler. Husbands and wives began laughing again. The sharpness in their relationships softened, just like salt melts. Bitterness in food. My dear brothers and sisters, salt is one of the first foods recommended in Sunnah to begin and end a meal. It's not just for taste, it's a reminder of gratitude, of humility, of balance. And when used consciously, especially in the sacred days of Muharram, it becomes a force of peace in your home. So don't underestimate it. Don't look for luxury and exotic salts while ignoring the spiritual richness of the simplest form. Buy plain salt. No additives, no flavors, no show. Just the salt your grandmother used. Use it with reverence. Touch it with dua. Say,
Ya Allah.
As this salt brings balance to my food, bring balance to my life. Soften the harshness in my speech. Dissolve the bitterness in my heart. And protect the Rizq you've given me from harm and loss. Because sometimes, the most ordinary things, when paired with extraordinary sincerity, become tools for divine transformation. Finally, the fifth item, a humble clay lamp. It may seem out of place in our modern world, where bright LED lights shine at the flick of a switch, where technology floods every corner of our lives. You might even ask, what use is a tiny clay lamp today? But my dear brothers and sisters, this lamp is not about electricity. It's not about brightness. It's about light, the kind that no bulb can provide. It is about nur, divine light, spiritual light. The light that dispels not just darkness from rooms, but darkness from hearts, from homes, and from destinies. For centuries, the pious and the spiritually awakened would light clay lamps in Muharram, especially during the nights of remembrance. They would fill it with mustard oil, touch it with prayer, and ignite it with the name of Allah. And with that flame came something sacred. A peace would descend, a stillness, as if the heavens were listening, watching, responding. Because a clay lamp is a symbol of humility, of grounding, of submission. Clay is what we were created from. Oil is what sustains the flame, and fire is what carries our intention upward. When you light such a lamp with Bismillah in this sacred month, you're not just bringing light to a room, you're inviting light into your life. You're making a silent dua,
Ya Allah.
Remove the shadows from my path, the confusion from my mind, and the burdens from my soul. There's a story told in rural tradition of a village once drowning in darkness. Not the absence of sunlight, but the absence of peace. Hatred had taken root. Poverty was widespread. Families were torn. Faith had become a distant memory. Until one day, an old woman said something forgotten by time. Let us light the old clay lamps again, not for the eyes, but for the soul. At first, the villagers scoffed. What will that do? They asked. But a few hearts still remembered the old ways. They brought out their clay lamps, washed them, poured mustard oil, lit them at dusk, saying Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. And that night, something changed. The village seemed calmer. The air was lighter. For the first time in years, people greeted each other without anger. Children slept peacefully. Arguments vanished. And within days, rain fell after months of drought. The crops revived. Sustenance returned. It wasn't the clay. It wasn't the oil. It was the intention, the submission, and the trust in Allah's light. My dear listener, buy a clay lamp this Muharram. Don't look for ornate ones. Seek the simplest, humblest one. Place it in a quiet corner of your home. Pour mustard oil with care. Light it in the name of Allah. Let its soft glow remind you that even the smallest flame can chase away the deepest night. As you watch it flicker, close your eyes and pray.
Ya Allah.
Just as this lamp dispels the darkness from this room, remove the burdens from my heart, the confusion from my soul, and the shadows from my life. Fill my home with nur, the light of your mercy, the light of your guidance, the light of your love. Because in the end, it's not about what you light. It's about who you're lighting it for. Now you know the five simple sacred items that our elders held close. Not for their worldly value, but for their timeless wisdom. Jaggery, the sweetness that melts hardship and invites Barakah. Black cloth, the fabric of mourning, humility, and divine remembrance. Mustard oil, the ancient healer, bringing warmth to bodies and peace to homes. Salt, the silent guardian of Rizq, dissolving bitterness and restoring harmony. Clay lamp, the humble vessel of light, guiding hearts out of darkness. Individually, they may seem small, inexpensive, ordinary, but together, they carry the weight of generations. They are not just items, they are symbols. Symbols of niyyah, intention, symbols of humility, symbols of barakah, the kind that can't be measured in wealth, but in peace, in healing, in love, and in the quiet closeness to Allah that fills your soul when everything else feels empty. These are the silent tools our elders used to invite divine mercy into their lives. They didn't chase trends, they followed sincerity. They didn't look for solutions in complexity, they looked for meaning in simplicity. And now that forgotten path is in front of you. So don't let the sacred days of Muharram pass you by like any other month. Don't say maybe next year. Don't say what difference will this make. Because Allah sees the smallest of sincere acts. He blesses the tiniest gestures of love done for His sake. And these 5 items, though simple, may just be the seeds that grow into miracles in your life. They may not make you rich in the dunya, but they will make you rich in the eyes of Allah. And that, my dear brothers and sisters, is the only wealth worth chasing. May Allah accept our intentions, bless our homes with peace, sweeten our destinies like jaggery, clothe our hearts in humility, anoint our lives with healing, preserve our rizq like salt, and illuminate every shadow with the light of His mercy. Ameen. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.